And how companies should talk to their employees about social justice. Dr. Tana Session joins us again with advice on leaning in to difficult discussions about race. Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, all names we've heard repeatedly over the past few weeks, followed by protests and calls for social justice.
More companies like Facebook now want to speak out about these issues, while many employees are already posting comments and sharing images online that can be viewed as microaggressions to people of color during these turbulent times.
Joining us now is Dr. Tana Session with advice on how companies can take actions to support workers of all races. Welcome back. Good to see you.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Is it appropriate for companies to speak out publicly about social injustice, racism, or even acknowledging personal attitudes and feelings about these things?
Absolutely. Companies really are wondering how can they be allies? And that's a lot of what we're seeing with the statements that are coming out right now. So I would like to talk about it from the perspective of what is an ally. And with that, the first A is for acknowledging. And that means companies have to first acknowledge that there is racism and that there is systemic problems in this country that sometimes affect your employees. So employees are showing up with smiles on their faces and showing up for work, but feeling not valued, not certain who they can talk to in the workplace about what they're experiencing. So oftentimes they remain silent and deal with it on a personal level or at home with friends and family.
And one of the first things I would imagine you could do within the workplace is listen to coworkers. And is there a way that we can adjust the way that we listen to one another?
Yes, perfect. Yes, listening is really foundational here because what's important is to understand what the experiences are like for your Black coworkers, your Black employees, giving them the space to have those honest and transparent conversations with you, but not discounting their feelings. You mentioned microaggressions. That's so important. Not discounting their feelings by saying they're good cops too, or, what about Black on Black crime? Those are microaggressions. So really just tuning in and hearing what they have to say about their own experiences with racism, those that and their friends and families who have been impacted as well. So listening is paramount right now.
And what else can companies do if they should lean in to these issues and lead the conversation? How do they do it? If you were in charge, I would feel comfortable with it. If there's someone else who's not as experienced or who doesn't know the right way to do it, I don't know if I would be. But what's the right way to do it?
Yeah, so leaning in is important for organizations to do right now because your silence really is saying that you're complicit and that you're accepting. So, right, there are some leaders that don't have the words. That may be why they haven't heard from, the employees haven't heard from their leaders, but it's never too late. Either work with someone that is in the space, such as myself or other consultants that are out here that are helping inform these communications that you're starting to see, giving them a platform, even if it's virtually. I've seen where leaders have hosted town halls virtually and invited their employees to come and talk about what they're experiencing and what they can do as a leadership team to help them.
What are some key things that we can use to become an ally in the workplace?
Well, it's definitely going to start with you, the individual. So that's the last letter of ally is you, especially if you have privilege, if you have a voice that can influence or impact change, if you are in a position of power where you can make certain that Black people are in positions that you're recruiting, you're hiring, your promotional practices are fair and equitable. Companies talk about diversity and inclusion, but are they really standing up to it internally? So it's great to see all of the statements that are coming out, but how are they representing that in the workplace? So it definitely starts with you.
If employees want to participate in protests, what is the best way to provide the structure, the emotional resources, the leadership to allow that to happen?
Yeah, so there's two sides of the coin, of course, because of what's happening right now with the protests. You have the peaceful protesters that are out there actually representing what this is about, and then you have those that are not. So what companies have to be cautioned, and what I've seen some things happen is that they're looking to terminate employees. What I would say is pause the button on that because innocent peaceful protesters are being arrested. So you don't want to start terminating people unless you do a full investigation. The same thing applies to what they're posting on social social media. That's another thing that companies are looking at on both sides of the coin. So you want to make certain that they're not violating your policies, your procedures, and if they do get arrested, you want to make sure you do a full investigation to find out why they were arrested.
Dr. Tina M. Session, thank you for being with us this morning. We appreciate it. She has a new book titled Working While Black, A Woman's Guide to Stop Being the Best Kept Secret. You can check out her website and follow her across social media.